Hey everybody, I haven't even had a chance to introduce myself on the show yet, but I'm here a little bit early to let you know that for maximum possible enjoyment of this particular episode, a viewing of the movie Congo is highly encouraged. In our future episodes, we're going to take a little bit of time to summarize the movies we're talking about so that nobody's lost during our pitches, but for this one, you're on your own. So without further ado, enjoy the program and enjoy the process.
Continuing completed classics. Fulfilling failed franchises. Reinvigorating reviled rehashes. It's the follow-up Showdown with Paul Goetz and Travis McMaster.
Hello and welcome to the first follow-up Showdown. I am Paul Goetz here with Travis McMaster.
I'm Travis McMaster.
Right, that's his voice. And we are here to imagine second chapters for stories that have none. Or better second chapters for stories that have poorly viewed.
Well, let's say better with an asterisk. I don't want to.
We're gonna hope.
I don't want to. Yeah.
We're gonna hope we can do better. Basically, we're both writers. We are friends.
In that order.
Yeah, right. Occasional collaborators, but mostly fans of each other's work.
Yeah,
I would say, and we like to talk movies. So we thought we'd take a shot at doing it, not professionally, but
no, we just decided what the world needed was another movie podcast with two mustached men in LA.
Yes, we have. You can't see, but currently we both have mustaches. We'll take a picture and post it so you can. Well, I want to.
All right.
Because I'm wearing special socks for this movie that we're going to be talking about today. Congo, a favorite, right? A favorite of
certainly.
Travis's.
I think anyone who knows me well knows that Congo is unironically one of my favorite movies.
Really? Would you put it top 10?
I don't see the world through that lens.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't either. But when I say top 10, does that sound ridiculous?
No, it's a yearly rewatch at least.
Yearly rewatch.
It's a yearly rewatch. I know that Congo has a stink on it from somewhere. People think it's cheesy. I think we can
get into that.
I think they did an episode of How Did This Get Made about Congo.
I haven't listened to it yet because I was waiting to watch this.
Right. But I think they did, and I don't quite understand that because I know it's a little bit of a 90s action movie. So it can be a little 90s, but I think it's genuinely just a really good movie.
Critically, it has a 22% on Rotten Tomatoes.
That's bullshit.
22%.
Can we swear on our own podcast? That's bullshit.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. Please have at it.
Wait, we should...
Yeah, I apologize. We have a third in the room with us. I'm going to call her a chimer inner for this episode. I like the sound of that. That's her.
I'll make that sound every time.
Yeah, that's all she's going to do. Her name is Lauren Pokorney. She's a friend of both of ours, sure.
Sure, she's my friend.
Yes. Also, Travis's...
paramour.
Say it however you want.
Yeah, partner,
I don't want to
paramour, girlfriend, whatever. We're millennials. It's fine.
Lady.
So
let's get into.
Firstly, we've already established my credentials. One of my favorite movies since it came out. Paul, this was your first viewing.
Yes, and I was very excited about this. I've been excited about this. We've been talking about this for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
For weeks now, knowing that we were going to do it, I've been very, very excited. More excited than going to most movies, I would say, like in the theater nowadays, a modern movie, because this is from an era of
pure cinema.
Yes, and it's the movie I would say I've heard most compared to Jurassic Park.
It's certainly it's Kathleen Kennedy.
Yeah, right.
So it's also I should.
It's Michael Crichton. So
right.
You've got that connection.
I feel like that's the only reason.
No,
because it's not really like Jurassic Park at all.
Well, I mean, it is. It's sort of an effects-driven, jungly adventure movie.
I would say like Jurassic Park, they tease you with an attack at the beginning, and then you are waiting for the hell to break loose. This time, the hell being apes rather than dinosaurs.
But like mythical apes and like dinosaurs are, I don't know the right word, an exciting animal that doesn't exist anymore. And the gray gorillas are an exciting animal that never existed.
I mean, I would certainly say that dinosaur trumps ape,
Yeah.
even ancient ape.
Yeah. Well,
Regardless.
It's definitely, at best, Jurassic Park's little brother, but it's...
right.
And I will say, because I have also, before Paul even brought the idea of this viewing or podcast to me, purchased 1995 or 1996's Making of Congo the movie, the book, that I've been leafing through. And in it, it's got an interview with Kathleen Kennedy, where she talks about when she had the rights to the book. And she says at one point, Steven Spielberg and George Lucas were both interested in making the movie. And she even toyed with having them revise the story so it could work as the third Indiana Jones movie.
Wow, that sounds
That's
very
crazy.
interesting.
Which is one of the reasons...
Indy v. Apes.
Yeah.
Oh, Indy with Apes. I like Indy with Amy.
Sure.
Maybe that's like, that's the money
Yeah.
in that
Well,
concept.
I don't think that would have in any way worked. I just love that Kathleen Kennedy wanted to just float it.
Okay, well, boy, we're here to pitch sequels, and I gotta say, based on what you just said, you take this into the Indiana Jones franchise after this. You keep Dr. What's his name? Dylan Walsh. What's the main?
Peter Elliott.
Peter Elliott. Dr. Peter Elliott around to be sweet with Amy still, but Indy's a little gruff with Amy, and he's like, I don't, where are you bringing this animal? She's gonna slow us down. But then
Perfect Indiana Jones.
Well, thank you, flawless, obviously.
Well, if we're gonna pitch an Indiana Jones Congo monstrosity, I'm not keeping Peter Elliott. Frankly, I'm not keeping Peter Elliott for my Congo sequel pitch.
That's fair.
He lifts out.
Totally
no
fair.
offense to Dylan
No.
Walsh. He did tremendous in the role. He did great. He's a wonderful character. I have no use for him.
Okay, I'm just saying last thing I'll say about the Indy thing is you would need a softener for Amy, because Indy's too gruff to deal with Amy, and you do need that sweetness surrounding Amy. So maybe Karen Allen does that in the Indy movie.
So would they go back and take Amy back out of her newfound environment?
I guess in this universe
it would be. I assume it would have to be Indiana Jones and King Solomon's Mine. So
okay,
he's there for archaeological reasons.
Yeah,
and then the talking gorilla shows up. And
they're on a different expedition.
that makes more sense.
There are gray
ships passing in the night.
There are lava burnt gray gorillas still around somehow.
Well, this is the sequel. I mean, I guess let's move on. Let's move past the Indy. But that is interesting. That's
yes.
So the first thing I wanted to do was actually ask what hit me with your knowledge of Congo upon release, what led to Congo. Like, give us some more gems.
I will say that in the book they talk about they were trying to get this movie made since the book was written in the late 70s. The technology was not there, and nobody wanted to try and force an ape to do the things they needed to do in the movie.
Smart.
Which is why it didn't get made till 1995, with Stan Winston making marvelous ape costumes.
Yes.
It was written after Jurassic Park, right?
Congo? No, Jurassic Park was written in 93, like around the same time. Steven Spielberg, who had a relationship with Michael Crichton, was asking him what he was working on. And he said, I've got this idea for a dinosaur zoo book. And Steven Spielberg made him tell him the story right there. And then he said, I want to make that movie.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Also apparently approached to direct this movie was John Carpenter, who also said no, which is how we ended up with Frank Marshall,
fantastic job.
Husband of Kathleen Kennedy.
Oh, I didn't know that for some reason.
Still married.
Really?
Yeah, those
That's
two.
lovely.
Do you know any of the other movies he's directed?
I know he did Alive.
Yes.
I know he did Arachnophobia.
Yes.
He did a couple of Roger Rabbit shorts.
Correct. Wow, I didn't think you'd have all of these.
I looked it up while we were watching the movie.
Oh, okay. There you go. Yeah. Roller Coaster Rabbit and Roger Rabbit in Tummy Trouble.
They really thought Roger Rabbit was going to be a massive, massive takeoff character when that movie came out.
I have seen both of those shorts, and I recall liking them very much.
I'm sure they're great. They just really thought Roger Rabbit was going to be akin to Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck, and Goofy. They thought he was going to be
a new Bugs Bunny, essentially. I don't necessarily see a reason why not.
Well, he's not.
He's very charming.
They just let it go. I think because maybe the movie was a little too adult.
Dark, yeah.
Something.
I guess. So now the screenwriter, John Patrick Shanley, his other films include Moonstruck.
I love that movie.
It's a great one. Joe versus the Volcano, which I have not seen.
That one is a wacky
That's interesting.
One.
That one's interesting.
Rewatched that one.
Yeah, I would love to watch, and maybe we could see where the sequel money lies in that one.
That'd be tricky. First act of that movie is really solid.
Yeah, it's very wacky.
I'm amazed I haven't seen it because it's a Hank Ryan flick.
What's wrong with that?
Oh. No, I'm saying amazed I haven't seen it
I see.
Because I'm such a fan of their dynamic.
Yeah.
They're great.
Boy, he loves volcanoes too.
Who doesn't?
But also he wrote Alive, which is where he and Frank Marshall, palled up, and We're Back.
Oh,
a dinosaur story. Is it? What's the subtitle on that one?
A Dinosaur Tale.
But and then last but not least, Doubt. Very
it's a wide variety
different.
There.
Wow.
Yeah, that screenwriter John Patrick Shanley, however you say it, was approached to write the screenplay by Frank Marshall and Kathleen Kennedy. He was not impressed with the novel.
Fair.
Nor excited by the project, but agreed to come on as a favor to them. The only thing that he insisted on was making the Monroe character black.
Great.
Because he said as a writer, he couldn't bring himself to do the thing where this white guy is telling all the black people what to do.
Great.
Totally respect that. He took that to another level and led to Captain Monroe Kelly, who Ernie Hudson says is his personal favorite character he's ever played.
Might be my personal favorite character he's ever played too. He
does not get to chew the scenery like he did with this guy. He had power in this role. I feel I would imagine based on his performance in this, I could see him on set suggesting things, coming up with extra things for his character to do. He really seemed like he was giving it his 100%.
Sure,
I would say, and it worked.
It was amazing.
It popped. Would you like to know who else passed on being in the film?
If it's brief.
Yeah, okay, yeah, there's only a couple names here. Hugh Grant was supposed to be
I know he was
Peter Elliott. Yeah. Robin Wright was intended to be Dr. Ross, and I don't know who Fred Dalton Thompson was supposed to be, but he also passed.
I don't know who that is.
I also don't. I was hoping he's probably a character actor we all know and love.
I'm sure if we saw his face.
Yeah, I should have looked him up, but that's on me. All right, so let's start rolling into the pitches. I want to start by talking about existing follow-ups, because sometimes movies have these strange comic book sequels or something that can technically continues the story before we would continue the story. The only one that exists for Congo is a PC game. Oh, Sega Saturn game and PC game, same game, called Congo the Movie: The Lost City of Zinj. And it's not so much a sequel as it tells a side story of Batembo Caballo, the only survivor of the first Travacom expedition in search of the diamonds. So someone from the beginning of the movie survived that ordeal and...
Was it like a first-person shooter?
Yes,
is it a point and click?
Supposedly it's a Doom ripoff.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That sounds cool.
And having heard that, I thought it was pretty cool that they were playing Doom in this movie.
That makes sense. That's probably some kind of like...
tie-in.
Yeah, vertical integration thing.
Normally, for this part of the show, when it comes to
what we normally do
pitching, yes, what we will normally be doing after this is I intend to do a little more work, a little more research, and watch the film before we get together. We just finished this movie, and like I said, it is my first time viewing it, so forgive me for not being as prepared with my pitch.
Looks great, Doc.
Okay, all right. So, first question I want to ask is, does this movie should it have a follow-up, in your opinion?
I would say no, because as much as I love the movie, I think just like with E.T., another Kennedy production, it can be left alone and stand on its own. I would strongly suggest to anyone listening, don't make a Congo sequel.
Gotcha. Now, I would think most people would be fine with that.
Yeah.
But I would say that, because Amy and the Doc break up at the end. Essentially, that's the heart of your movie.
Yeah.
Really, everything else is kind of inconsequential around it, and that's a fine ending for this franchise. But we are doing this podcast, so we might as well
gotta do
force
something.
The issue.
Gotta do something before we die.
Yeah. And this will be it.
Gotta kill the time.
Yeah. The next question I continue by asking is sequel or prequel? What's the money spot for this?
For this one, I'm gonna say sequel. Again, only because I have already had a sequel idea for this in my back pocket for a few years.
Okay, going into this, because I knew Bruce Campbell was at the beginning, my hopes were high for prequel. I was hoping that we would not get enough of whatever they had going on that expedition, and that it much like the Thing prequel would have enough gas to run another movie off of. That gas essentially being Bruce Campbell himself and John Hawkes.
Okay. I'm changing directions a little bit. Based on what you've said, yes. I think even though we know where they both end up, and they both end up dead in different ways in different places, you could have a movie between what we saw of Bruce Campbell screaming.
Well, he doesn't necessarily die. He had to get to that cave.
No, that's what I'm saying.
There's some action.
He jumps back into the water, swims out. You could have a whole movie of what him and those two guys do before ultimately dying.
You know the ending, though.
However, if I were to do a prequel, since the city of Zinj is like 1,000 years old, I would go full on old adventure movie, just set it in the 30s and do a King Solomon's Mine.
Okay, that's a good strategy. I would say, just off the top, if thinking about a prequel, since as I said, I think Amy is the heart of Congo as a franchise. Maybe go back to Amy being lifted out of that jungle, see a few of her adventures. Maybe she came across some humans beforehand. You wouldn't have, of course, the robotic voice.
Right.
That adds,
you could do like a Milo and Otis thing, but just like baby Amy.
and another ape.
Well, here's the problem I'm just realizing with this pitch. You want to do a movie with heart, with Amy's already adorable at 7, so at this point she would be
she is so adorable.
She'd be 2, she'd be whatever like the puppy version of a gorilla is. But the movie has to end with the brutal murder of her parents in front of her own eyes as she is then rescued from the jungle.
They say that?
That's why she recognizes Zinj, that's why she's afraid of it, that's
what
her
but they
nightmares
say
are
that
about.
Her parents were murdered and that I missed that part.
Maybe it's just my latent need to be cruel to gorillas, but I felt like that they were murdered in front of her.
Well,
torn limb from limb by those club-armed gorillas.
Oh, I see. Because you're saying because she was in the proximity of Zinj, more than likely.
Yeah.
Okay, but so then she was found nearby. So she was found nearby Zinj after having run away.
Yeah.
Is the idea?
I guess the backstory I filled in just as like a brilliant writer. I can't help it that it was in front of her puppy
It was automatic.
Eyes. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah. I mean, I don't want to see nice gorillas die. I had a hard enough time seeing mean gorillas die in this movie.
You really did.
They really, they were not. They killed a lot. A lot of gorillas.
That was kind of rough.
Yeah, and at the point, Amy was getting through to them before
she was buying.
Laura Linney slices them in half with a.
She was buying precious seconds. They were about to all be murdered anyway by these monster gorillas.
But the whole point of getting her there was the idea that she could teach other gorillas,
and that was the only
gorillas. Teaching you got to see her
gorillas,
do.
Not these like
you don't
genetic
know
aberrations.
Humans train them one way. Why couldn't Amy have started classes, gorilla classes?
This level of foolish optimism is going to get us all killed in the gorilla mines.
All right, so okay, here's my sequel pitch. My idea about what I want to do here is we have to pitch one that we would make today.
Okay,
so that's tough. In this case, I would say, and then we can pitch our dream sequel.
Okay.
Like we're time and anything not a factor. We could go back in time and make this.
That's interesting.
This movie.
All right, how about you go first?
Okay, well, I don't have a modern one because
off to a bad start.
Well, the first thing that hits me when I even start to try to broach that subject is the Tim Curry had a stroke.
He also died.
He also dies in the movie,
so...
right? Which that's the second wall I run into because you got no Curry. You got Actually, I guess if you had Hudson, you're okay.
You're doing fine.
All right. Well, I will come back to me on the modern one because I'm gonna try to think about it. But my dream sequel, where time and space not factors, would I guess at this point be
This is for you, Charlie.
Immediately after they take off, because they have that line. Or no, in the parachute. Not hot air balloon. Hot air balloon. They're in the hot air balloon, and they have that line about where's the wind gonna take us or whatever. Do you know the line exactly?
I hope it blows us somewhere good.
Good? Is it nice or is it good?
I don't know. Does it change your pitch if it's nice?
Well, we'll find. We'll get into that later. But I like nice better. I hope it's nice.
There's a wind. I hope it blows us someplace good.
Me too.
So that hot air balloon doesn't go somewhere nice. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking it lands a couple miles over. This is a messed up area they're in, and there is danger everywhere. Volcanoes erupt.
Drop of a hat.
Drop of a hat. You got these 3 people stranded in the jungle. They're 2 of them are pretty capable.
Yeah.
And then you got the doc who's going to be sad about Amy. And what I'm liking already about where this pitch is that you've got these 3 characters who I read as being in a love triangle in this film. I mean, there's no love, I don't think, between Peter and Monroe, but I think Dr. Ross is throwing vibes both ways and isn't settling. I mean, she just lost her fiance type, ex-fiance, almost married the son of a bitch guy. She just lost him, so I know her emotions a little bit, but she seems to have him pretty well in check because she's throwing flirts around, I think.
Okay.
So I think that alone is what starts us off. You got these tensions running high, emotions getting hot. I'm just saying it's there. It's teeming underneath the surface. They've got this sort of uneasy dynamic between the 3 of them.
You got a plot pitch in here anywhere?
Well, I'm getting there. It's forming as it goes. As I said, I will be more prepared in the future.
Okay,
this is an off the cuff, right off the. Well, so I'm thinking this time it's not apes.
No,
I mean that attacks them. It's gonna be they end up in a swamp and it's something like crocodiles.
Okay,
But Amy, of course.
Oh God, you and Amy.
No, Amy is Congo. So Amy comes in with her new ape family to help fight the crocs. I mean, obviously, you got a lot of action before that. You got some of the
crocs in the swamp. And
absolutely, this is miniaturized King Kong. This is Kong versus Godzilla. This is what puts butts in the seats, as I see it. I mean, that's a very bare bones pitch, but I see it working, and I mean, I don't see it because the diamonds weren't what any of these people were interested in. You don't need them to be motivated by anything other than survival.
Well, I'll tell you what I like about this pitch is that it's very close to my own thoughts for a sequel, which is just...
Well, hold on. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. It's just I just have one more thing that I want to get in, and I am so sorry about it. But it's just that you've spent so long with this pitch in mind. I want to be fully prepared. I want to be buckled in.
Okay.
And I just want to say...
disappointed.
Well,
but go ahead.
All right. Well, Lauren is going to. By the way, our chimer inner for this evening will also be the studio executive, who, first of all, hopefully forgives us for, or at least me. Maybe Travis will be better, but for our sloppy pitches. But I just want to throw in that I would like, because they are deprived of their tech this time. I mean, obviously Monroe has a gun, but. That at some point in the movie, Dr. Ross, using her CIA skills, MacGyvers a situation and puts together a bunch of jungle supplies to build traps, weaponry, nets, this type of thing, because they are trapped in a situation where they're trying to sleep or whatever, and they know they're surrounded by
alligators.
Evil. Well, evil. Well, they're alligators, but I would also say that there are probably soldiers still out there on the hunt. You're gonna introduce a new villain,
right?
And he's not going to have the charisma of Tim Curry, obviously. Ooh, maybe Delroy Lindo.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, he's your front man. He comes in leading a charge against these team. There's already some unease there. Mm-hmm. And so then it becomes about survival in the jungle. You got her MacGyvering. Maybe just for one scene, but I do want to see that. And then maybe you get somewhere with this love triangle. Or what I would like most is if she chooses neither of them at the end. But maybe her and Monroe sleep together.
Right.
Because he's just irresistible.
He's the bee's knees.
It's not believable that she wouldn't eventually sleep with Monroe Kelly. I mean, that guy.
Yeah.
He's got it all.
Was, people were throwing flirt at her.
Thank you.
She's just being herself. And they're like, hey.
Well, I think she is definitely flirting with Dr. Peter
Elliot.
Yeah, I think that she does sort of go out of her way to maybe not romantically flirt with him, but try to put him at ease by like kidding him, like childhood flirting.
Sure. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. The movie definitely kind of puts the two of them next to each other like action figures and like makes them kiss.
But I would say that when she's next to Kelly,
See, I don't think that there's any flirting.
No, I don't think that I agree. I don't think that there is all out flirting. I think that the chemistry is just so palpable that it feels hot right away. You're watching them because they're both badasses, they're both sure of themselves, and they both immediately have a mutual respect. So and they both have they both have senses of humor, I guess.
Oh yeah.
He's cracking wise a little more than she is, but they're
she's got a lot on her mind.
Equals.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That one shot of them with the flares in the airplane.
Oh, man.
Also, Monroe's just like super charismatic.
I just can't imagine she's not attracted to him. And vice versa. She's got it all.
Of course.
Yeah.
I mean, you know me, my pitches never involve love stories or love triangles because that doesn't really ever interest me.
I will say I did like that this movie did not settle on it.
Right.
It was maybe you could read into it, but it wasn't actually a plot device. And I would say keep it that way with the exception in the sequel, except maybe at least poke it. At least poke it with a stick.
See, but the thing is, even in your own sequel pitch,
they're alone in this sequel.
Peter Elliott had nothing to do. He's just dead weight, even in your own pitch.
No, he would find something to do. At some point, because he's a primatologist, at some point in the movie, he would have expertise that is like, oh, we should climb a tree because that genus has this type of arm which doesn't allow it to climb trees. You know what I mean? He would
one of those apes that can't climb trees.
Yeah. Another thing that I liked about this movie is she was such a badass, even more so than Ellie Sattler.
That's one of the reasons I really like this movie. Is like everything is kind of flipped around from what you would have seen in a movie of the time.
Absolutely, I would agree, and I would
without being like too winky, cheeky, condescending. There weren't a ton of jokes about like, whoa, this woman's in charge, she's being a badass, and there weren't a ton of jokes about like, well, this guy's a bit of a softie. There were a couple of both.
Yeah,
but it wasn't.
Right, people. Yeah.
They weren't like hitting that on the head.
No, and I guess I in a way didn't like that about the Tim Curry character too. Is they could make him seem fiendish and like he might do worse than he did, but they didn't land on it. You know what I mean? They didn't make it. Oh, everything I expected to happen will happen. They just told a story. But yeah, what I would say. Okay, so yeah, that's fine. That's enough pitch for me.
Well, I didn't know your sequel pitch was going to be that comprehensive because my sequel pitch was just
we have a trumping card that they did not have.
Monroe and Ross.
Yeah. Ooh, look who doesn't know the names now.
Monroe and Ross are doing stuff.
What?
That's my pitch. It's the two of them
doing stuff, and like Joey Pants is there too, and oh, I forgot he was.
Yeah, it's their whole like network of getting in and out of places, and it's Peter Elliott and Amy not in it because their story's wrapped up. They don't come back. Now, what I do like about Congo the movie is the monster part. So I do. That's what I liked about your pitch. The alligators, kind of. I want. Not that exactly, something better.
All right, I agree.
I want the two of them working together and fighting some other monsters. Like
Sure, absolutely.
Creature from the Black Lagoon style or something. But I don't want it to be happenstantial. I want Karen Ross is like, okay, I left the CIA because they were heartless bastards, and then I'm leaving Travicom because they're heartless bastards.
Oh, yeah.
I like what you do. You seem like a kind person. You're a strong person. Me too.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to just hang out, I guess, here in this unnamed African country. And I'm just going to, I don't know, do whatever.
Oh, sure. She's got nothing to return to
help
at this point.
Whatever, rebellion or get people out of dangerous areas or something. That she's just in there kind of like at the beginning of Black Panther, where he's just like rescuing people.
Yeah.
They're just doing good works with Joey Pants, and then the guy who stapled the money shut, whose name
Delroy Lindo.
Delroy Lindo.
Yeah.
I think he should definitely show back up.
Yeah, definitely.
He can either be the very charismatic bad guy or like the bad guy who kind of does good things with
right.
Them
they think he's on their side, and then he double crosses them
and then triple crosses.
He's just
back.
He's unreliable.
Right.
Sure.
Something, and then in the midst of their like good works, oh no, monsters.
What kind? Do you have more?
I don't have
okay.
Any. I don't.
You don't want it to be apes.
I don't want to do gorillas again.
No gorillas.
Because we did that. But then it gets tricky because I also don't, because there were many gorillas, so I think you go the other direction. You do one monster.
Okay, a big one.
What, Lauren?
I got it.
Okay, come over here to where the microphone is.
All right.
The one monster is like a giant monster that was responsible for making the volcano erupt. Like a giant, like ground-dwelling, like ancient being.
Well, how
does it emerge from the volcano?
Maybe.
This being.
Wait, how big? Wait, hang on.
Well,
how big are we talking? This has to be a monster that Monroe and Karen Ross can fight.
Never mind.
So if it's like Godzilla,
I was picturing Godzilla.
I could buy something
like a giant snake.
Not to return back to crocodiles too fast, but I see, in terms of these ancient creatures, I feel like a lot of the ancient land dwellers that made it past dinosaurs were, big apes and
so like
mastodons or woolly mammoths or whatever.
I will absolutely watch a movie where Monroe and Ross fight some like megafauna that got like trapped on an island.
Right. But
like Skull Islands, but not King Kong.
But I'm saying the big stuff tends to be in the water.
Okay.
I'm saying it emerges from the water. That's what I'm feeling.
I don't want to set it in the water because then you have to have them like in boats and on rafts, and you kind of you take away a lot of their skill and charisma because they're like they got
Congo,
be in a boat.
Take me to the river. I'm just throwing out titles. Oh, do you have a title for yours? By the way?
No. What did I text you?
It was
Can't Go Wrongo.
Congo Can't Go Wrongo.
It's a bit silly. I don't have a title because I don't have. I mean, the only title I could think of is like Congo, Concrete Jungle, and now there's like Predator 2, and they're in the city. It's like Crocodile Dundee.
Well, but then Amy's in it. You can't.
Okay. Yeah. I just thought of this just now. Again, brilliant writer. These things just come to me.
Right.
And you want your precious Amy and your precious Peter Elliott.
You need someone to soften them. Because they're taking care of somebody, that makes them
sometimes
nice.
It's Tango and Cash, Sometimes you just got two people. Sometimes it's just Demolition Man. And everyone's just cool.
Yeah, Sandy Bullock's kind of,
fair enough. That's fair.
And
so what I would do, if we want, I don't think we can get Amy back. And I don't think it's fair to the character of Amy to take her out of the Congo and put her back into danger.
No, yeah.
But what we could do is, so we keep my original pitch and Monroe and Karen are doing their cool thing in whatever African country they refuse to name. So then something happens back in whatever city
they're
Elliot
originally in. Yeah.
He lives in wherever he lives, LA or New York, wherever it was.
Uh-huh.
It has to be like Philadelphia or Boston, some old city, because whatever monster we're fighting in this sequel live in the sewers.
Thank you, the water.
that's why I thought of it, because that gets you into the water without having to go underwater. So we do like a Chud situation, or like Reliquary, which is the sequel to the book The Relic, where the monsters are now mutant type hybrid things living under the city that are primate like in nature somehow. So that's how we get Peter Elliott back into the fold. Because I know, here's the thing.
Okay.
I don't know how to get Karen and Monroe involved in this. somehow
they barely knew how to get everybody together in this.
We'll work that
movie.
out.
I feel
There's
like
some reason.
figure it out. Yeah,
Maybe they're coming
shuffle it around.
back into town to visit him.
Oh yeah, they're buds.
I don't know.
They probably are buds.
Sure.
They went through some shit.
Sure. But once they get there, then there is the monster detecting. It has to be related. Whatever reason they're back to visit Peter Elliott also brought the monster back, or that is what activated the monster or monsters.
So you won Elliott in this sequel.
For this one, yeah.
Yeah.
If we're going to put them in the city, that's a good compelling reason to. He's not going to go back to a jungle. But if we keep him in a city and we need his primate expertise. Now the real big the big question we have to answer is, what are these creatures and how did they suddenly get, for lack of a better word, activated?
Okay.
And they have to be primating.
Well, I think this is a good time to bring in...
Oh, no, I just sold it.
Okay.
All
right.
Peter Elliott thinks that his friends are visiting him, but they're not. They've heard about this thing happening, and they traveled back to investigate it.
And they know he will be an asset to them, but they're not going to let him in on what it is.
Because he's soft.
What I was going to say is I think that the person behind the creature, whatever it is human this time. It's like I guess it was human the last time, except for it was an ancient...
Sure. So this would be your surrogate Tim Curry.
Yes, but full on evil.
Maybe this person heard about the gray gorillas, got some gray gorilla DNA from the volcano, and is making violent, docile, controllable gray gorilla monster people out of, the transient population. And so now they're running amok in the sewer systems, and our characters have to come together to try to battle that.
Yeah. I don't hate it.
It's not amazing.
No, it's not. And I would, begrudgingly see it for sure, but I feel like what it is
trying too hard.
Well, it's a Gremlins 1 to Gremlins 2 jump. It is
the best kind of jump.
It depends on who you ask, because I feel like this is introducing elements, because there is, I would say Congo, crazy as it is in many parts, is a science-based movie.
Yes.
That theorizes an ancient race of killer gorillas as its most fantastical thing.
Yeah.
And lasers.
Yeah.
But that would be introducing, lab experiments, and it brings in a lot of elements where it also, that I think posits that Monroe and Ross are monster hunters, which I would say
I did have that thought.
Like they're badasses, but in this movie they are overwhelmed.
Yes.
By what is around them.
And that's why I said at the top, we should not do a sequel. Because you're to get all of the elements that are required to make it a sequel and not just like a separate adventure movie starring the same actors, you're gonna have to do some of these uncomfortable twists and turns to make it all fit.
I see.
Or you're just gonna have to do something as straightforward as like do a Lost World movie where you're just like, oh, someone else wants to go to get the Zinj diamonds.
But even that is like...
And you're the only ones who have been there, so we'll take you to... I don't mind the Lost World, I like it.
I don't.
But you have to... to do that retread, you have to do the thing of like, someone else wants to do the thing, and you're the only one who can do the thing, so here's a bunch of money or some other leverage to get you there, and oh no, it's happening again. And then everyone goes like, I guess, why did you bother though?
Right.
We could have been fighting chuds in the sewer with Ernie Hudson if we had only listened to Travis.
I will let you know which way I'm leaning in terms of this sequel. Must it be made? Like where I think it should land, and you can do the same. But first we need to go to our studio exec. Right. Based on all the nonsense you've heard today, which is your favorite version of a part 2?
Well, I don't like the city one.
Okay, you don't have to say like specifically what you don't like. Just pick one you do like.
You can say anything and everything you want, and I agree with you. I also don't think you should feel bad, Travis, because that was an offshoot of my stupid ideas, so we all made that monster.
I think the best option would be like an amalgamation of both. Like, because I like your idea of them. I actually like the Godzilla versus King Kong thing where the gorillas fight the alligators. I kind of dig that.
Yes.
So I think if you like did mix that a little bit with like the Ross staying to like help out wherever she's needed and stuff, that would be the best way to go.
First of all, this means that we were both just got hired.
This, as they say, is a fork in the road. We could go left or we could go right.
Okay, that's
together,
great.
team
Congrats.
as a team.
Yeah.
So we'll have to work out our personal issues, but no, I agree completely. I think that bringing Amy in at the head of her new gorilla family to help fight, you don't have to make the whole movie about that, but you make there's a reveal. And then they're with Amy. I think that must happen.
I can be sold on that if this movie is set years later and Amy is much older.
It does
much
need to be
bigger.
later. I agree.
I don't want to see puppy Amy again.
Yes.
I want to see a change. I want to see Sarah Connor in Terminator 2 Amy.
If you will give me that,
Yeah.
then I am 100. I like the rest of your pitch more.
Or I could say, screw both you guys.
Oh.
Take your idea, putting it back and set in the 30s. That's the Indiana Jones sequel, but it's a prequel. And it's where Indiana and Marion meet, but maybe make her 20 instead of 15.
Well,
So it's not Harrison Ford either.
No.
but it
Who
can't
is-
be where they met because they met in
Is
college.
it
Did they?
Is it
No.
Alden Ehrenreich?
Okay, well, it's like that 10, sure.
Yeah, I would be fine
It's
with
like
that.
that 10
Yeah.
years before
great job.
Raiders, which would line up.
Well, so I think we can all agree on one thing. No great sequel ideas.
Oh, I disagree. I think we've got something really hot here because but your base premise gives me so much more of what I loved about this movie. And then
Yeah.
if you give me my Amy, I got it all.
I just feel like my base premise did start with the pitch, like in Crocodile Dundee, which I don't think is a stellar start to an Amazing Congo sequel.
Yeah, they made 3 of those
Paul.
though.
Paul,
So it works.
how are we ending this episode?
Well, I real quick just wanted to slide in there with a, I think she's already stolen her idea and split with the money, but I think that she's going to throw this one right out, but Curry does return, having his head smashed, but has
Just
replaced
with
it
an eye
with
patch.
one of the gray gorilla heads. But it is his voice. Still, the Russian vocal cords are there. Or sorry, Romanian vocal cords are still there. Because I just need more Tim Curry
I would watch
in
that.
everything. You would watch.
Yeah.
that. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for first of all having this movie ready to go.
Yeah, always.
For me for watching it. Will this be your annual watch, or you think you'll get it in there again?
We just watched this like 6 months ago.
No, more than that.
Okay, so then this is my annual watch.
Okay,
I
all right.
just watched it. I got a lot of things I need to watch.
Right. Well, yeah, we all do. We
Yeah.
all do. But I would. I look forward to watching more things with both of you and wasting this time together again.
Yeah.
And wasting you, the listeners, if there are any of you's time as well. There is more to come, so I hope you didn't hate this. And even if you did, I hope you come back. Why not? We might have our shit together next time. But thank you so much for listening to the follow-up Showdown. Keep it real, guys.
Thanks for listening.
Bye.